Welcome to Yin Yoga. We are going to be doing a mix of restorative and yin postures. I tend to lean towards the restorative side of yin, but you can also add a little bit more effort to get a little bit more stretch if that's what you're looking for. Props that I would recommend for today's practice would be pillows, rolled up blankets or towels. You'll notice a rolled up blanket is pretty similar to a bolster. So if you kind of double layer and maybe or use a thicker blanket, you can actually get it to be about the same amount of firmness and also about the same size as a bolster. So that's something to keep in mind. Also recommending a bag of rice, a bag of pasta. If you have a sandbag or rice bag, to grab that. Otherwise, a blanket as well, just to use as a blanket. So we are going to get started in a reclined butterfly pose. So you can either lay flat on your back, or you can take advantage of the props that you have present. You can use blocks to make sort of a recliner chair, placing blocks beneath your bolster if you'd like. I'm going to lay flat on my bolster and then find my butterfly shape of my legs. And then right away, we're going to grab that rice bag. So go ahead and lay down, let the knees separate. Notice right away if this is already too much for the front of the hips or even the knees. And if you need props to support the legs, you can place them on the underside here of the thigh, the knee, or the calf, just to give some support. So on one side, I'll use a blanket. On the other side, I'll use a block, as long as they're about even, so the hips can rest. And then I'm going to take my sandbag, and I'm going to lay it right in the lower belly. Sometimes it can be really helpful to be right there in the low pelvis area. For some people, it's nice to have it right over the heart space or the chest. So decide what feels good for you, and then just let it be there. Let the shoulders widen, and the hands come to the sides. Maybe palms down to the floor to really feel grounded. You can even grip into the surface, the ground, the mat, whatever it is that you're feeling. I myself am feeling carpet. I'm going to kind of grip into that carpet a bit and then soften into it. Eyes are closed. And the breath is soft. Just being here in the shape. Noticing if there's anything that is holding you back from feeling relaxed in the posture. It can be activity of the mind. Maybe thoughts of the future, planning, or replaying situations or stories from the past. Sometimes letting go is the hardest thing. And as you get comfortable, both in the body and the breath, allow there to be a heavier side of the back of the body. Either sinking into or melting down onto whatever prop you have, whatever surface you're on. Letting the weight that's on the front of your body with that rice bag or that prop that you have help anchor you down. One of the books that I like to read every day has a quote for each day. And one that I thought would be really great for today's theme is that letting go is the hardest asana. And we know in our mind that letting go isn't an actual asana, but we can think of it as one. You know, our asanas take effort. They take our thoughts. They take our presence. And they also take our body. You know, we have to do something with our body. And sometimes letting go of something, even mentally, it takes a release of the body as well. We have to allow it to kind of roll through the body and leave through the heart space or through the breath. And if you really think about it, life it's all about letting go. You know, to think that we have control over everything is kind of like living disillusioned. You know, we can't control everything, and we know that deep down. Learning to let go is a gift that you can give to yourself, whether it's letting go of an exhalation as you fall asleep. You know, if you have kids that are older, allowing them to grow up, not holding on to them, sheltering and restricting them, but really allowing them to become their own people, letting them go. It can also be letting go of situations, thought patterns, habits. Sometimes we create habits that are harmful to us or others, so letting those go is a gift not only to ourselves but to others. It's hard to resist though. So as you lay here, as the hips are soft, as you feel opening through the front of the pelvis, heaviness through the back of the body, notice if there's anywhere that you're resisting. And this can be physically. Maybe you're resisting completely letting go and the space of the heart, where you feel movement with the breath. Can you soften and allow more space there? Or maybe there's something that's more mental, more emotional, resisting a change. Maybe resisting acceptance. It's all hard. It's hard to let go. And so in that sense, it's understandable that that quote is there, that letting go is the hardest asana. Can you welcome the space, the quiet? Use it as a tool to become more aware. The breath, and of the resistance. We can't fully let go of something until we're fully aware that we're holding on. Find your awareness. As you feel ready, I'd like you to come off of whatever prop that you're on, and you're going to lay flat on your back. Remove the weight from the belly or the chest. And then bring the feet wide as the mat, and let the knees fall in towards each other. You can even use the hands to help guide the knees in towards each other. If you'd like to place the weight back on the low belly, you can. You can tuck the tailbone a little and let the low back press into the floor, or you can keep a neutral spine. If you'd like some support, this is a good time to place that rise bag that you have under the low back. You can press up a little like you're moving through a bridge pose, and then rest the low back on that, helping support the natural curve of the lumbar spine as you get some internal rotation through the legs, hips. If you'd like to try something different with the arms, you can experiment. Maybe reach up overhead like you're getting a good morning stretch, and then just soften through the shoulders and the elbows. If you begin to feel any pinching or any caution lights though through the shoulders, go ahead and bring the hands back down by the sides. Let's place a little more focus on our breath now, breathing in through the nose all together. and out through the nose or mouth, your choice, all together. Pause at the bottom. Stillness, yet movement of the body. Inhale. Exhale. Pause at the bottom, creating this triangular breath. You can imagine a triangle in your mind. Inhaling up one side of the triangle. Exhaling down the other side. Then retaining, holding, appreciating, still, maybe feeling movement, pulse, that vibration of life that's laying beneath the surface. Then inhaling when you're ready to climb the triangle again. You can do this, you can count, make it very precise so that each side of the triangle is exactly the same. Or you can allow yourself to really trust yourself and do this intuitively. Can you feel, can you sense when it's time to inhale, exhale, and hold? Building confidence, self-efficacy. You can do it. Starting with the breath. If you'd like to get your right brain going as you do this, can you add detail to your triangle? Maybe imagine a triangular canvas, piece of paper. And as you breathe around the edges, you begin to make designs, patterns, images on that triangle. Perhaps it's even pulling from your inner resource if you do eye rest. Things that you find there in your happy place. Plants, sunlight, people or pets. Welcoming a feeling of joy as you breathe this triangular breath. The body and the mind are at ease. The nervous system is relaxed. Body and mind both knowing that you are safe. That you're in a good place. Sukha. Sukha meaning good space. If you're interested to know what bad space is, that's dukkha. So we want to avoid the dukkha and always look for the sukha. So if you find dukkha kind of invading your thoughts, the bad things, the stressful that you're trying to let go of, find the inner strength, the inner peace to let go, to look towards the good things inside that triangle. Sukha. If you'd like to make this a mantra, you can inhale the sukha and exhale the dukkha. Inhaling the good, exhaling to release the bad. Recognizing that in yoga we very rarely actually label things as bad. So maybe the unhelpful, the unserving, stale, anything we don't need. That could be a better way of saying it. And now begin to prepare yourself for a little bit of movement. You can move through the knees. Imagine even like butterflies beginning to flap their wings for the first time, slowly towards each other, heels in, toes out. Or you can align the feet so that they're in line with the hips and still move Knees apart, knees together. Not doing this to create strength or heat, just to stir around any blockages that we made by kind of kinking the hose in those meridian lines of energy that we use in yin yoga. And now, if you have anything beneath your lumbar spine, go ahead and remove it. If you have anything in your way that prevents you from stretching long, go ahead and slide it aside and stretch the arms and legs as long as you can. Let the ribs flare apart. Let the belly lift and find a real reach. And then soften. Hands down by the side. Good. Bend the left knee and then hug the left knee in towards the chest as much as is comfortable for you. You can hold it here, or you can find a little bit of movement. But this is its own pose in yin yoga, in traditional asana as well. It's actually called wind relieving posture. It's supposed to help the body relieve wind or gas that's trapped inside the intestines. But it can also be helpful just to hold space. Sort of a half up an asana. If you'd like to, you can even place your hand on top of the knees, let the arms stretch, and feel a little bit of tug in the shoulder through the front of the hip, inviting in a wood element. Now begin pulling the thigh, pulling the knee back towards the chest, and then begin to rotate and open that knee back up. Kind of like the butterfly we started in, but the knee is higher up, more towards the armpit. You might need more support here. You can place a block under the thigh or knee. If you feel pinching in the front of the hip, what I'd like you to do is press the knee away and then open, more like a traditional butterfly. You're gonna have a little bit more space there. If you still feel pinching, then bring the foot down maybe towards the opposite knee. So you're really in that butterfly shape again, just on one side. So pay attention to the front of the hip. Notice if there's pinching. Sensation is good. But anything that doesn't feel right probably isn't right. So listen to the intelligence of the body. These are shorter holds as we work through this hip series. So just try to be mindfully present with each breath as you're in each shape, knowing that we're going to be letting go of them. We don't get to hang out in one pose or one shape for forever. We have to let it go. We have to move on. And now we're going to bring that knee back up to the center, and we're going to cross it over the body for a twist. Now I want you to be really mindful about what you're feeling as you do this. So we're not going to shift the hips and adjust everything. So really begin to let the hips peel off the mat and the whole body begins to adjust. So we're not twisting from the low back. The low back is stable. It's all one piece coming together. Things begin to rotate and twist as we come up the spine. If you absolutely need to scoot the hips to the left to let this twist happen, to feel good in your body, to really have the twist be all thoracic, go ahead and scoot the hips towards the left and then bring the left knee across the body towards the right. Again, listening to your body. Now, begin to straighten that left leg. And begin to bend through the right leg that's underneath you, reaching with your left hand towards it. Noticing how you feel here. If any pose feels icky or not accessible to the body, don't do it. Full body yeses only. Imagine that each part of your body has to give consent to whatever you're doing. If it's not given, then it's not allowed. You can just come back to laying flat on your back or hugging the knees into the chest, which is where we'll be going in about 2 breaths. So breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out, finding your way back to center. Hugging the knees in, maybe stirring them around. You can even tuck the chin, make a little ball with your body. Or if you need space through the front of your pelvis, you can find some activity here and lift up through the pelvis through a bridge pose. We've been massaging the front of the hip flexors, the front of the pelvic bowl, all very good for circulation. Again, releasing those marma points, those intersections of meridian lines and fascia. Now, release back down. Stretch the left leg and hug the right knee into the chest. Stirring it around maybe to start. And then finding that wind relieving posture on this side, hugging the knee in, or perhaps finding resistance, more wood element by straight arms. Whatever feels comfortable for you. Wherever there's benefit. Now beginning to open up, externally rotate through the hip. Perhaps that knee is higher up this time, up towards the armpit or the ribs, or maybe you need a little more space, more support with the prop. Finding whatever shape for that right leg that you need. And once again, allowing there to be some quiet. Knowing that that's the hardest part of a yin practice. Sometimes it's the best part for some of us. Getting peace and quiet, some stillness. But for others who are more, have an active mind, who have a harder time letting go, it can be really challenging. And you're allowed to acknowledge that. It's hard. And sometimes that quiet space and these long pauses, sometimes they're not enjoyable. But that's okay, because sometimes life isn't enjoyable, you know? Life is like a buffet, but you don't get to only pick the good stuff. You have to try one of everything. Our yin practice can really reflect that, and that's where we can find a lot of growth internally. The body benefits, but the mind grows. We become more resilient, adaptable, because we've allowed ourselves to be uncomfortable, and we've been able to sit with it. And that itself is a gift. Bring the knee up through center. You can find some movement if you need some movement here. You can even massage with the thumb in that space of the hip flexors. And when you're ready, we're going to bring that leg across the body. Again, either keeping the body how it is and just kind of pivoting, rotating the whole thing, allowing whatever needs to come off the floor to come off the floor, or if you'd like to scoot the hips towards the right, dropping that knee across. Just being really mindful of the low back and how it feels in this twist. Trying to bring more sensation up the spine, up to the rib cage, to the shoulders. While also feeling the front of the belly. Begin straightening the right leg, bending the left, reaching with the right hand towards that left foot. Whether you reach it or not does not matter. We're just finding energy towards each other, hand to foot. If you can reach and you can get that bind, you can pull the heel in a little closer to the glute and feel the quadricep stretch. You're allowed, if you'd like, I say allowed, you're always allowed to do whatever you like, but if you wish, you can even draw that right leg either further up or further down, imagining the floor like the face of a clock. So deciding where's comfortable for that right leg in relation to the hip, back, kind of finding this combination that works really well for your body. And then releasing, coming all the way back up, noticing if there's some movement that the body really needs. Whether that's swaying the hips, lifting up through the pelvis, or straightening through the body. And then taking your time, no matter what you've chosen to do, we're going to roll over onto our belly. So instead of rocking and rolling up and creating a bunch of extra energy that way, let's just keep it low and slow to the ground. And let's roll over. And first, let's start completely pronated, so completely flat on the belly. You can turn your head, or you can make a forehead with your, or you can make a pillow for your forehead with your hands stacked. That way the back of the neck is nice and long and neutral. That's what I would recommend. Breathing here. Can you feel the natural curvature of the spine? Breathe into the back of the body. Just like when we started the practice, we had the front of our body up. Now we have the back side of our body up. If you have your rice bag within reach, I encourage you to go ahead and place it on the low back, on the sacrum. If you are unsure of where that is, think right above your tailbone, that flat spot. You can also place it between the shoulder blades up higher on the chest, but that can be a little more challenging. We're going to be transitioning a bit, so it's going to slide down if you do that. So I would just keep it low. If you feel sensation through your lumbar, your low back area, almost like you're doing a little mini back bend here, which is very possible depending on your anatomy and kind of how you spend your daily life, what your activities are, I'd like you to stay exactly where you are. If you'd like a little bit more, a little back bend, a little front of the pelvis opening, we're going to move towards our Sphinx pose to start. So go ahead and come on to elbows and forearms, lifting up the heart, widening the collarbones. lengthening the back of the neck. If you'd like a little bit more, tucking the toes and maybe lifting the knees away from the floor. And then press through the heels just a little bit and then soften what you can while keeping that lift. You squeeze in towards your midline with the legs. This is metal element in our Sphinx through the legs. Add that metal element through the upper body. Really guide the chest forward, guide the crown forward. Imagine everything hugging in towards your spine and then energetically shooting out either end. If you like more of an earth element, you can soften the legs. You can find a block for the forehead, and you can even let the shoulders round. Let everything soften, no effort. It's a more restorative Sphinx. We're halfway through the pose. You have the option now to find your seal shape, like a cobra in Vinyasa Yoga, straightening through the arms, lifting more through the heart. Now, it can be really helpful to use a prop to place beneath the low ribs for support here. That way you're not placing a ton of weight into the shoulders or the arms. I'm going to navigate my books. So you can even rest your shoulders on your prop or hands to the floor. You can lift the heart, the gaze skyward, or you can tuck and round through the neck, let the crown of the head hang. Depending on if you have a more forward head posture naturally or more of that ballerina straight neck. Trying to find balance in the body. Normally in our back bends, we engage the entire back side of the body. We squeeze the glutes, we use our spinal muscles, but here we're just kind of being held in the shape by positioning and by prop usage. We're molding ourselves. So imagine yourself as water being poured into a glass or a vase, maybe an unusual shaped glass or vase, and you're just taking that form. Now we're going to come out of this. Moving props to the side. And we're going to find a child's pose. Let's let some rounding come to that low back. If you have any, my sandbag came off. I'm going to place it right back where it was. Supported child's pose is really helpful to get some elevation and keep a flatter spine. So you can even stack props. You can get as high as you need. You know, not everyone can be comfortable in a traditional child's pose. That's a lot to ask for the knees and for the hips and for the back. So making the ground rise up to you can make child's pose feel a lot better. So sometimes that means coming way up high, almost like you're in a table, the way that your joints are stacked, but the body gets to rest. You can hug along the side. If you have your rice bag, place it back on your sacrum. And then be where you are. Again, building up the floor to you. So if you don't have two bolsters like I do, building up what you have. And in your child's pose, allow yourself once again to feel completely supported. Feel free to make adjustments as needed until you feel supported. Focus on your breathing. Feel the belly as you breathe. The resistance maybe, or the pressure. Perhaps you feel a push into the prop and it allows you to expand the breath into the back body. Or maybe your prop softens and allows space in the front of the body for the breath. Breathing with the belly. Imagine breathing in calm energy, however you imagine that to be. And breathing out negative energy. As you breathe deeply in and out. Perhaps again, inhaling Sukha, exhaling Dukkha. Good space, bad space. In your mind, imagine that you enter a room and you're carrying baggage, maybe luggage, bags slung on each shoulder, suitcase in each hand. Even the clothes that you're wearing feel heavy, and your muscles are tired and they ache. Then you set all of the baggage down and you lie down on the floor. Perhaps lying exactly the way you are now. With closed eyes, imagine a blue sky now. Suddenly, all around you is the sound of crashing waves. You can almost smell the salt from the sea. The sun is low. The light is turning orange, pink, and purple. And now dark, dark blue. Allow the breath to keep expanding through the body. You can imagine tension being held like a rubber band. Reaching, energetically arching upward as you breathe in. And easing slowly back into place as you breathe out. Imagining each muscle in your body receiving fresh oxygen from the air. Perhaps you're still breathing in ocean air. Take it in by the lungs. Relaxed in your body. Relaxed in your mind. Feeling refreshed. You've been released from your heavy burdens. You've allowed yourself to let go. Begin to wiggle through the toes and drum through the fingertips. Placing a little more weight into the hands. Coming off of your props. Maybe sitting back towards the heels if that's accessible. moving things aside, finding yourself in a table-like shape if that's available for your body, and then just shifting hips from right to left. And then with the breath beginning to move, inhaling to lift the heart and lift the tailbone. Exhaling to round the spine, moving through cat-cows. Now, if you need to do your cat-cows in a different way, if you need to be seated or reclined, go ahead and do that. What we're looking for is spinal flexion and extension. So inhaling to lift the heart and extend. Exhaling to flex the spine and round. However that needs to be. Continuing this for a few breath cycles. And then we're going to reverse our breathing. Right now we're breathing into the front of the body, front of the lungs. That's where our attention normally is with our breath. It's where we normally place our hands when we're aware of our breathing. We're going to bring attention to the back body now. So go ahead and pause in a neutral table or a neutral position of the body if you're seated or reclined. Empty the body of air. And now as you inhale, flex the spine round, hollow the front of the body. Exhale, find that cow shape. Inhale, filling up like a balloon, floating to the ceiling. Exhale, back down to earth. Breathing into the backs of the lungs. And exhaling. Noticing if you have a preference, one style for one reason or another. And welcoming that. Again, being okay with trying something that is not your preference. Taking one bite of that item from the buffet line that didn't look so good. It's okay. Good to try things. Now, we're going to find our heart melt pose. You can use a prop for this if traditional heart melt is too intense. For yin yoga, it often is. So I would place a prop somewhere beneath where the chest is going to be or the head. Somewhere so that the arms can reach forward and you can get some support. So maybe that's the arms themselves, the chest. I'm just trying to avoid my microphone here. Keeping the hips high and the heart low. If you'd like to do a more traditional heart melt pose, keeping the hips stacked over the knees, just begin to walk the hands forward, heart bowing down to the floor. You can let the forehead rest heavy. If you're really open in the spaces there, you can turn the gaze forward, armpits down, chin down, chest down. But again, that's probably a little too intense for a yin hold. We want to be here for a little while. We want to be comfortable here for a little while. We're not here for too long, so just breathe where you are. Welcome the feelings, the sensations that arise. Now begin to bring the pelvis down to the floor, straightening through the hips. Finding yourself back in your Sphinx pose. Option here to come all the way back down flat to the belly, or to stay in that Sphinx. Now, if you stay in your Sphinx, I'd like you to rotate your left hand to the center of the mat so that you can have some space to reach back for that right foot with the right hand, getting a bit of a quadricep stretch. That's too much on that left shoulder. Just go ahead and sink down, lay down. Do the quad stretch here. Winding down, letting go. And softly landing that right foot, turning your head towards the left, bending the left knee, reaching back with the left hand. So again, if you're in that Sphinx, you're just changing sides, sort of canting that arm diagonally so the hand reaches across, creating a broader base. Noticing what kind of a stretch you need in that left quadricep, how you can adjust the rest of the body so that it feels right. Finding a breath pattern that works well for you. Perhaps that's deep, slow, intentional breaths. Or maybe you need less. Maybe you just need easy, shallow breaths. Those can be good too. Just try to keep the exhale slightly longer than the inhale. If you feel like the sensation of the stretch through the quadricep has left, now you're just in a shape and you don't really feel anything, congratulations, you found your edge. You honored it. Your body acknowledged that. Now it feels safe. Here for a couple more breaths, breathing in and breathing out. And then softly releasing. And then rolling on to the back. Nice, easy transition, as easy as you can make it. And from here, hugging the knees into the chest, getting very compact or stretching the arms long, whatever you need. Thinking about how you'd like to utilize the props that you have, the space that you have to make yourself very comfortable for your Shavasana. I would suggest using all of the props that you have. That's why we have them. Something to support the upper back and the head. Something beneath the knees. And that weight on the low belly or even on the tops of the feet as they rest on the floor can be anchoring. You place a blanket over your shoulders, over your chest. Finding yourself in whichever position works well for you to find true rest in your Shavasana. We call it Shavasana, but Shavasana is also a pose. It means without life, without energy, which is the goal of our Shavasana. We don't want any effort. We just want to be, to rest. So with the eyes closed now, take an inhale. And let it go. Thinking about what we've talked about the entire class. Again, inhale. Give yourself permission to let whatever it is that's holding you back go. One more time, inhale. Exhale. Allow there now just to be softness. Your Shavasana is not over, but it's changing. The body is still completely at rest. Notice where the mind is. It's in the future, the past, the present. Maybe somewhere alongside either of those. In a land of creativity or inner resource. Your happy place. That space within the triangle that we breathed in earlier together. Can you invite in a sense of peace and joy into the body? Not just as words or as thoughts of emotion, but as a felt sense of the physical body. What does it feel like to feel joyful, to feel gratitude? Can you feel it radiating from that hum beneath the surface of your entire body as you breathe and live? Can you feel it spreading from the heart space all the way through the torso and the limbs, expanding as you expand? Noticing these fluctuations of the mind as your awareness shifts and rotates. Your awareness itself is this living, breathing, moving thing. Sometimes it's moving, and other times it's still, and your thoughts move across in front of it. Yoga Sutra 1:2 says, yoga is the mastering of the mind's fluctuations. 1:4 says, at times we follow the fluctuations of the mind. Allow yourself now to follow those fluctuations, to follow the rhythm, the waves of your awareness, without judging or trying to change it. Following the flow, the patterns, the swirls. And then finding satisfaction in that. You are able to let go of everything else and be fully present with the fluctuations of your mind, of your present. Noticing this awareness and what it does for you. Yoga Sutra 135 says, cultivating awareness can give us a deeper sense of calm and presence. Has this been your experience? That when you are truly in your awareness, there's a center of calm, presence. Those moments that you can pick out that you knew exactly who you were and there was no question. You know what you stand for, what you believe in. Feel confident in that and you feel good about it. Everything else you can let go of. Allow the mind to keep waking up, finding more energy. As you feel ready, the eyes can gently blink open a couple of times until they settle to being open, taking in the sights around you. And then when the body craves it, when it really wants it, begin moving. It can be in the hands and the feet. It can be in the center of the body, sort of a snake-like movement. Maybe you extend and take up as much space as you can. where you contract and get as small as you can in that little bubble, that little ball. Waking up each part of the body, rotating your awareness through each part and area of the body. Saying hello and saying thank you to each space of the body. Thanking it for all of the things it can and cannot do. Sometimes it's when we cannot do something that we learn to be more grateful for the things we can do. You know, like when we have a sore throat, suddenly we are so grateful for all the times that we did not have a sore throat. We take it for granted. When we have injury, that's when we notice that, man, we should have really appreciated when we didn't have an injury, or we can appreciate the healing that comes after the injury. One part of the body's hurt. Draw attention to a part of the body that isn't hurt. Focus there. Find gratitude. Let go of the dukkha. As you feel ready, if you feel able, go ahead and find yourself seated. Otherwise, remain laying down and just hold space, either between the hands, near the heart. You can create a lotus seed to hold that space. So it's like Anjali Mudra, but there's space between the palms. And wherever you are, whether you are seated, reclined, or laying down, holding that lotus seed representing hope, representing positive growth, even through the mud. Thank you so much for letting me be part of your practice today. Namaste.